I'm Blair Glover with DetroitSportsMedia.com for another Detroit Pistons Media Day. Take a listen to what head coach Dwane Casey had to say about the players and the season ahead.
It's different than having an actual NBA game, but, over the summer, spend, a lot of time talking to guys, texting with guys, staying in touch with guys. I watched probably 60 of the 82 games. And, some of them were useless just because it was before the trade, but it gave me a good sense of what we have, who we have, and what guys can and cannot do.
Dwane, it's been a while since you were a new head coach at a new team. I'm just curious, what is that process like to get acclimated to not only a new city but new players? Is that something that takes a while, or how do you go about doing that?
No, it is, and again, you got two different teams. Two different strengths and weaknesses as far as the two different teams are concerned, or whatever team you go to. I remember going to a new team in Dallas, the same thing, new team in Minnesota. So it's always a filling out process of going in, but that's the great thing about this summer, spending time with guys, seeing guys, and guys have been in with voluntary workouts and spend time with them there. We had voluntary workouts out in LA. Most of the summer, so our coaches did a heck of a job individually with the players, working with them in the summertime, and especially our young guys. And then also Blake employed an army of guys to work out with him. He charted his shots. I mean, he had a scientific approach, and again, this is one of the first times in a long time that he's been able to work as early as he did this summer. So. It's all a process, and that was a good thing about this summer, is spending time with guys and learning.
Dwane, what do your nucleus of players? You have that, and health will be a big factor there. But you have these younger players like Ellenson, Kennard, Stanley Johnson. Sometimes they look pretty good, sometimes not so good. So far, what are you doing to accelerate their development?
Well, this summer was big for them. They spent, like I said, most of the summer in LA working with our coaches individually out there. Had them on an excellent program. Luke got hurt right before Summer League and wasn't able to do a lot this summer. But Henry, I thought Henry from Summer League till now, he's taken a good step. As far as improving is concerned. Confidence-wise, he's getting his confidence in his game. I thought playing with the USA team was huge. Playing for Coach Van Gundy there in that setting, going down to Panama. But just him playing, that's what he needs. I wished he could have played more in the G League, and that's one advantage we do have is with the drive is we want to make sure we utilize that. I'd much rather for young guys to be there playing than here practicing, and especially in December when the practices are not, as far as rigid or as tough, and the day between the game. I'd rather for those guys who are going to play and then come back and play again. So we want to make sure we utilize that, and for guys like Henry, so he can get game experience.
What about Stanley Johnson?
Stanley is working. He's in great shape. His body looks good. Last week, I didn't know if he missed a shot in the workouts, the volunteer workouts that they had. He was making every three-point shot he had. I just wish we could delay that a little bit until December and make sure he's making those in December. But he was knocking down shots. Mental approach, he's very solid. This is a big year for him, and it's no secret. It's a big year for him, and he's approaching it in a great way.
You guys who have contract years, kind of sort of out there, how do you approach players when they're in that situation where if they play well, there's a reward for them the next offseason?
Well, again, it's one of those things, Vince, where I think it's important. If they play well, that means that they're contributing to us winning. Everybody wins when you do that. And that's what I usually tell guys. I've had a lot of guys over the years in their contract year or, fighting for a contract or whatever it is. And usually if they're doing that and doing it within the team concept, good things are going to happen, whether we win or contribute to winning. But as long as guys understand that and they understand that they don't have, it's not necessarily about putting up numbers. It's about doing things to help us win that lead to winning. So that's how I approach it.
Putting a foot in the guy's butt if he's not doing what he needs to do, but then also encouraging and motivating him to do that. How do you balance that, especially with a new team and guys that you're just getting to know?
Well, that's what this summer was about, was going through it this summer and getting to know guys who can do this or who can understand their personalities as much as anything else. The new NBA, it's a partnership. It's not a dictatorship. And when I first became a head coach in Toronto, I probably was more of a dictator. Wanted to do everything: development, defense, offense, whatever it was. And the league has changed. The game has changed a lot. So the way I approach it, it's a partnership. And I want to help me, help you, help yourself. Kind of the motto I have. And that's what works. That's what motivates players today. And I don't think that approach is going anywhere.
Points of emphasis in the next days ahead.
Well, just getting our timing, our rhythm together, the way we want to play. Defensively, making sure we're solid there. We talk so much about offense. There's another side of the ball that this team was solid. I think they were 12th in offensive rating defensive rating last year. So I told the guys last night we want to try to be in the top 10. Because if you're in the top 10, or Lord forbid, top 5, you really, in Kentucky we say cooking with gas instead of wood. So that's where we want to be. We want to try to get in the top 5 in both categories. Is that going to happen right away? That's our goal, is to make sure we're defensively solid and offensively playing the way we want to play.
How do you feel about the depth on the roster, and how do you see how deep the rotation going?
Well, we have, I like our roster, the talent on our roster, individual talent, we have it. Now, what we have to do to pull it together, the style of play we want to play, is going to be on myself and the coaching staff to make sure we blend it in to the style of play. We have 2 big guys inside that are very, very talented players, so we'll have to adjust a little bit the way we want to play, but to utilize them and still utilize the 3-point line. That's why if Andre can knock down 1 or 2 threes a game, that really helps us. I know Blake has really worked on his 3-point game, so that's our goal. And that's the way we're going into the season. That's what we're going to start really concentrate on more in Ann Arbor this week. That's the key way we want to go as far as pulling all that individual talent together and how we want to play. And again, everybody who knows the game is going to an analytical game, utilizing the 3-point line and also getting to the free throw line more by attacking the rim, attacking the paint, which we can do more of.
Coach, the signing of Zaza Pachulia, how important is it to have someone who's from that winning atmosphere in the locker room?
Huge. I told him that the only 2 people in the room that has rings is himself and I. So, that's huge. Just for the fact that he knows what a championship is about, what it takes to get there, to get those 2 rings. Jose Calderon has won world championships and Euro championship, and that counts. No matter what anybody says, it's still a championship. But his leadership, his experience, I talked to Steve Kerr this summer and could say nothing but great things about him. They're going a little bit younger in his position there in Golden State, but the leadership that he brings to the table, his experience, can only rub off on a guy like Andre and Henry and the young guys in the room. So, because it's only, until they hear it from another player, and back up what we're saying as coaches, that's a big help for us. But again, he's still productive. I think our players figured out pretty quickly if they came off his pin downs, they were going to get open. And so he's one of the best screen setters in the league and does a great job of that. Excellent passer, and we want to utilize his passing skills with our 3-point shooting. So he still brings a lot to the table.
Back to Jose Calderon, one of the reasons why you signed him was kind of an insurance policy when Ricky can't go, so he's the guy you could throw in the starting lineup and maybe keep the issue with the second unit.
Well, I hadn't made that decision, totally yet, Vince, but he did a great job of starting with Cleveland. If you look at his numbers when their point guard went down in Cleveland, the games he started, I think it was 25, and I don't know what the number is, but it was a heck of a percentage, his winning percentage. percentage as a starting point guard. Again, it helps when you have 23 there, but we got some good players around in here too. So that's a thought process that we've talked about because Ish is so valuable for coming in and changing the game with his speed. He's one of the fastest players in the league. So it would keep him in that position if we choose to go that way. But again, great insurance policy, a guy who's been in the league, excellent three-point shooter. Yeah, you must have been in our meetings listening to our coaching meetings.
Based on your coaching style and the 60 or so games that you said you saw of last year's team, what do you think the fans will notice about the biggest difference between the way that you coach the team and the way that Coach Van Gundy coaches?
Well, again, I have nothing but the utmost respect for Stan Van Gundy. He is an excellent coach in our league. He's won everywhere he's been. So there's there's always, you can say that about you and Vince. You and Vince are two totally different people. The way you approach it, the way Vince approaches it, the way Rod approaches it, everybody's different. So it's not even a fair question to ask, how I would do different, but I'm a different person. I approach things differently. I'm sure he, approaches things different than I do. I've never played for Stan. I haven't coached with him, but we're different people, so I'm sure we approach coaching and everything differently.
But is there anything from like a style of play standpoint that you can point to?
Well, I thought they were an excellent three-point shooting team. I think we want to shoot more of them. I would say if that counts as a difference. But the will to win, wanting to win, the toughness that we have to play at is going to be the same. I mean, we will be a competitive team as far as toughness is concerned, physical when it comes to the defensive end. But I would just say one difference is shooting more of them. I would say it would be the difference. I wasn't here. I only competed against them, so I don't know what his coaching style was as far as what he was saying to his team, teaching his team, and it wouldn't be fair to me to try to compare myself with him. He's a good coach.